Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wuhan Weekly, a podcast that follows the trials and tribulations of 4 Scottish teachers in China. With me today are Ruth Taylor.
Hello.
Tony Ingalls.
Hi.
And Dean McKinnon-Thompson.
Hello.
So we took a bit of a break there over the Christmas, New Year and Chinese New Year period. So we're going to have a wee talk about that, but we're going to focus mostly on New Year and Christmas and then talk about Chinese New Year in our next episode, which will be coming out shortly after this one. And all of these activities that we did will basically describe the average night out in Wuhan. So hopefully it's a bit of a mix and match for both of them.
I agree, at Christmas and New Year, because we're away from our families and we're with all these people that we've not really known for that long and who have become our friends, the best way to celebrate these special occasions are by getting our booze on and going and exploring the Wuhanese nightlife.
Yeah, absolutely bevved, mate. So before we get into that, first week back from the holiday, how's everybody feeling?
I feel like my classes have been going a lot better than they were as we had the run up to the big holiday, and that's probably just because people were burned out, students were burned out. A week has gone by and it's feeling good for me.
I'm feeling a lot healthier this week than last week. Yeah, the kids have been better behaved. Things are going very gently, which is the way I like them. And like you say, everyone's just refreshed after a good holiday vacation.
Right, and I think that Dean and I were literally just talking about this before we started recording. We're all feeling a bit more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Being away from China, as great as China is, breathing in some fresh air now and again, it's just made my lungs feel a bit more spacious. So I feel a lot better about myself.
I also find eating food that's not,
drizzled in oil.
Yeah, as delicious as the oil is, it's fine. It's nice to get away to some, fresh food and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, apples that aren't the same size as my head. Apples that are normal size. That was really good.
Yeah.
They don't have bovine genetics pumped into them.
What?
Genetically modified foods is a big thing here, and it's not healthy.
Right, okay.
Not the way China does it.
Christmas, that was a bit festive. Yeah. It was strange having Christmas in China again. No snow and not having your family. But I think we did all right this year.
Yeah.
In comparison to last year, especially me and Dean, we just had a small party. But I think you did something similar, right?
Ruth and I didn't even see anyone else on Christmas Day. We went for a burger.
And watched Peep Show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and had some wine. I mean, it was actually quite good.
Christmas, You don't need anyone else, do you?
Right, but yeah, this year was a much more celebratory atmosphere because of where we were and what we did.
I was just going to say before we get into that, we had to wrestle the school for those 2 days. Remember that?
I kind of almost forgot about that. It was such a long time ago.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Grudges are being kept here.
We in our contract it said we got 2 days for Christmas, which is fine. But then they were like, oh yeah, so you get 2 days for Christmas, you get Friday and you get Saturday. You can have a day off on Saturday, which is obviously a day we have off all the time.
Right.
And we're saying, well, if you're going to put something like that in the contract, at least abide by it.
Right.
So that was a bit of a scuffle, but we ended up getting the 2 days in the end.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but holidays just aren't looked at the same way here. If you have a long weekend, sometimes the long weekend includes a day of working on Sunday, which is just bizarre to us. That just doesn't happen back home.
So what did we do on Christmas then?
We went to the Hyatt in Wuhan, which was lovely. They did an all-you-can-eat buffet. All the food was amazing. They had a sushi chef and a turkey and a guy making steak and bread, which is such a treat here, and cheese, which was also a treat. It was amazing. It was so lovely.
Yeah, it was probably one of the best meals I've had in China, without a doubt.
Yeah.
As we said, it's a big buffet, but there were, for the Christmas, they had the turkey there. There was a guy just manning a turkey. And
a huge
everything.
Turkey, bigger than a small child.
Yeah,
and students smaller than this turkey, and they're 6.
and obviously because we're British, especially because we're Scottish, we were taking the absolute piss with it, and eating an entire turkey at a time. And
free steaks, you say?
Yeah, right.
Go slap on 5, mate. The food was amazing, and one of the guys, actually Simon, he organised a Secret Santa. So that was very nice. Everybody got into the spirit of it. Everybody got a little bit of presents, and
Right. Shout out to my Secret Santa who got me possibly the most apt gift you could get me if you don't know me very well, but you do know like one or two things about me. He got me 2 Celtic football tops, home and away, the new one, and I was just overjoyed. It made my Christmas. Made my Christmas. Yeah.
But no, it was a really good meal. And it was nice to see everybody outside like a school setting,
right?
Yeah.
And the staff at the Hyatt were just like, it was like, this sounds really bad.
No, I know exactly what you're going to say.
It was like being back in the UK, and
I mean, they had manners and they were polite.
Dean, you can say that.
I don't know if you should. 1 billion people, but
1.6 billion people take that.
The service industry's new here, so they're coming from where we come from. We're used to a service industry that's a lot more tailored to the concept of the customer being always correct.
Yeah.
That's not always the case here. In fact, generally it's not. So the Hyatt was like really, dare I say it, sort of Western approach to customer service and food management. It was really pleasant and clean, and I have to say the muttonage was absolutely fantastic.
Right.
But it's beautiful, and the hotel itself is really nice. It's just lovely.
Yeah. And
I want to go now.
Yeah. I know we should probably reveal that we've gained our first sponsor, Hyatt Hotels. Our podcast now.
Log on to Hyatt Hotel / Wuhan Weekly to get 5% discount.
I would.
Yeah, it was a really good day. And the best thing about it was we were getting a 5-star hotel buffet, but we were paying literally no money.
Yeah.
If we were buying it back home, I would say maybe £80 or something like that for like a...
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, it would be £80 for dinner and a champagne or something like that.
Plus you got drinks on top of that.
We paid maybe a quarter of that.
Yeah. And when we went for my birthday, the bar in the hotel is the longest bar in Wuhan, and the whole bar is made of wood, and it's made from one tree.
Is it the longest bar in Wuhan?
It's the longest bar in Wuhan. It's not the longest bar in China.
Oh.
It makes sense. It is called like Long Bar.
It's called the Long Bar, but it's really nice as well, and the drinks were really great, and it's really rare to get like a really well mixed drink here.
Yeah.
It's got like recognised brand
Yeah.
alcohol in it.
Yeah, I even got a Scotch whiskey there.
Yeah, I
it was
remember.
so nice. Lovely, delicious Talisker.
Obviously, in comparison to the Chinese restaurants we normally go to, it was a little bit more expensive.
Right.
But, it ended up being worth it in the end because, of the service, as you were saying, the range of drinks that you could get, and the kind of like feeling of being back
right
in the UK.
I think actually we talked about that sort of feeling on the last podcast.
Oh yeah?
Many moons ago. Where we were talking about like the sort of things that we like to do to like make ourselves like feel comfortable, like go to Han Street, do some shopping in the Western shops. It was really good, especially at Christmas when you're like missing your family, like you said, missing your friends, to go and like hang out with the people that you're friendly with here in a nice place, eat some great food, drink some great drinks, and just like have a good time.
Yeah.
They were also making crepes. I just remembered they made crepes. They had a crepe making thing. They had a chocolate fountain too. It's all coming back to me now.
We went in the afternoon for that brunch.
It was like 11 till 2. So we were there for a long time as well. There was plenty of time to eat.
So that's what we did in the afternoon, and we got, started getting a bit merry then, traded all our gifts and stuff like that. And then we started sampling some of the Wuhanese nightlife. Where was the first port of call then?
We went to that bar, Captain Jack's.
Yeah.
Well, we went there the night before as well, on Christmas Eve. Because on Christmas Eve we went for dinner as well with our friends.
That's right, we had some
and we
Indian
went
food.
out. And then on the afternoon of Christmas Day, it was the only pub that was open during the day in Wuhan. Because Chinese people don't really celebrate Christmas. Like, we were the only members of staff at our school that got any time off for Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. So we were really, really lucky in that sense. So trying to find somewhere to go for a drink during the day was just impossible. I mean, it's just impossible most of the time in China. So we went to this pub that's like sailor themed.
Nice, I like it.
Like boat themed. It's like a boat inside. It's weird.
Yeah.
Good range of drinks.
Yeah, it was great. We hung out there for a good few hours. Like doing what Scottish people and I think what people in the West like to do best on Christmas Day, which is get
pissed.
Get merry.
Exactly.
Especially in Wuhan, maybe not so much in some of the bigger cities like Shanghai and Beijing, but I might just be talking out my arse. I like to think that there's a wide range of clubs here and bars here, because Wuhan is still, as we talked about in a couple of podcasts ago, it's still a second tier city.
Right.
So it's not fully international yet. So you get to sample, some pubs and clubs which are extremely Western, like, for example, Captain Jack's. And then you get to sample some places that are extremely Chinese, like I think Chains you were talking about.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
And Victoria's I think is very Chinese.
Did we talk
as well.
about that already in the podcast?
I don't know if we talked about it in the podcast, but you
Right.
definitely tell me about it. And then you get the ones that are kind of in the middle. So Helen's, there's a brand of clubs. And I think we definitely said something about Helen's.
Right, and I think like that's the first protocol when you're talking about like where are you going to go at night in Wuhan. Helen's would be your like top recommendation, not because it's like really really great, but because it's like the perfect sort of Chinese bar to go to. Like it's not Chinese like to look at. It's just Chinese in terms of like what goes on there.
So a lot of people at home obviously haven't been to China.
Right.
They'll have no idea what China is like. If you could describe Helen's in like one sentence, how would you do it?
In one word.
In one word, okay?
Debauched. No, it's
A shit show.
A shit show.
Sums up the whole like nightlife, going out culture that Chinese people enjoy. And when my friends came to visit, it was the first place we took them.
Right.
They arrived. I was like, we're going to Helen's. It's ladies' night.
Oh,
and
God.
yeah, it's just people being sick by like 10 o'clock. Cheap booze.
It's
fun.
Helen's is graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like regardless of what Helen's you go to in Wuhan and on what day, you'll always see something spectacular happening there.
And
right?
you're always guaranteed to sort of like see the same.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's
things,
the
yeah.
few tropes that you'll find in every
Right.
single Helen's, even if you're in Helen's like down the south of China,
Exactly.
or if you're in Helen's in the north of China, they'll always have like one or two like identifiable features.
Right. You always have the international flags draped from
Right.
the roof.
Sure.
You always have
Beautiful.
the 3 litre towers of beer for £6.
Right, delicious.
You always have the guy passed out in the urinal in
Yep.
a pool of his own vomit at 9 p.m.
You always get the guy getting dragged out by 3 of his mates who are just as drunk as him.
Right.
So they're all kind of like dragging each other out. Like
Yeah.
someone's decided that they need to go home. No one knows which one it was, but they're all just like carrying each other out like. "Woo."
The last time I was at Helen's, a guy was being sick in the sink, and I had to be like, no, you need to go. Like, was pointing, like, going to the bathroom, and his friend's like, oh, I'm sorry. He was, like, watching him be sick in a sink. It's just not okay.
Usually when you first get to Helen's, you'll open the door, and before you see anything, you wave away the cigarette smoke,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you start seeing.
It's
You
like a
blink.
70s disco,
Well,
isn't
yeah,
it? You're like,
yeah.
Well, that's definitely a thing here. Like the cigarette smoke when you go to bars. Obviously, we've become accustomed to going into bars and it being totally like clear air because the smoking ban and like how that's been around for a while now. Here, obviously, people can do whatever the fuck they want in
And they
bars.
do.
I think it's especially strange for us because the smoking ban came into place when we were really young. So I
so
really
the-
don't remember. Like, I remember going to restaurants and stuff where you could pick, like, non-smoking or smoking.
Right, sure.
But I never, like... Well, I was, like, 10 or 12, so I never went to, like, a club or anything
Right.
when I was that
Yeah.
age.
Feel so sorry for Alison and Kelly, was it?
Yeah.
Who came over. Their lungs are already dying from like the Wuhan air.
Right.
Not that it's bad. And then they get chucked into Helen's, which is like a hot box or whatever.
But like I think even Alison and Kelly will admit that despite all of like Helen's downside, we're going to call them that, like it's a really fun place to go
Right,
here,
sure, yeah.
because like it sort of almost caters to foreign people. Like it seems to be setting itself up for foreigners to come in, for non-Chinese people to come and hang out there. But like actually, I don't see that many non-Chinese people there. It's usually young Chinese guys and
Right,
girls who
yeah,
are there.
sure.
And I kind of like that because there are other places in Wuhan that we could go. There's this place called Vox, which is like a sort of live venue / like bar club. And then there's like Beer Barn, which is like a off license with tables. But the thing is, you're always there, and there's always other foreigners there. And like I like a lot of the foreigners that we meet in Wuhan. Sometimes it's just cool to like be with amongst Chinese people. We
Yeah.
are in China after all. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
I think also what you find is we'll know a lot. Not saying that like we're super popular or anything, but the crowd of young guns that go out that are our age, we know quite a lot of them through the agency that we were at last year,
Right.
and we've got quite a lot of friends at this group, so we know friends of friends of friends. So in a roundabout way, we know a lot of the people that are out, and sometimes it's nice just to go out and not have to
Exactly.
like make idle chit chat with people that we know but we kind of don't know, but we feel obliged to have to talk to them or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or get ice chucked at us, which happened last time we went out.
Irish people.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. Irish people are the worst.
Australians, Irish people, and then everyone else comes underneath.
But yeah, Helen's is, if we haven't painted a clear enough picture, is essentially a student union on steroids.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is.
You have cheap beer in large quantities.
Right.
You have dice games, which are very popular in China,
Yeah.
which essentially make you drink as fast as you can. And you have people just throwing up everywhere. But no, it's really
And
fun.
it's always the same kind of tables and,
Yeah.
and chairs.
The same
Exactly.
decor.
How
Well,
It's
did-
exactly the same decor in
It-
every single
It's
house.
a chain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then
It's
it's
like
like all
going
over China,
But
you know?
even other Chinese bars that aren't Helen's,
They seem to have that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's this very like weird image that they have of what a bar is like in the West, and
Mhm.
they've tried to make Helen's and these other bars like that, but
Yeah.
like no
Mhm.
bars are like that in the West at all.
No.
Helen's also very dark.
Yeah,
They don't
it's
really have
like
the lights on.
it's kind of like Hollister.
Yeah.
It's like a shipwrecked Hollister full of drunken people.
Except it doesn't smell Hollister's shit aftershave. It smells like cigarette smoke.
It
I'm
smells
trying
like
to-
cigarette
yeah.
smoke and shit.
Right. I'm trying to figure out whether the smell of Hollister or the smell of Helen's is more amenable to my nostrils.
But anyway, this is where we actively chose to
Yeah.
spend our Christmas day.
Right.
This is where we spent the remainder of our evening and some of the next morning.
Right. And,
at
like,
Christmas
lads,
time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, probably censor this out, but like I got fucked on Christmas Day, so
I preferred Captain
by
Jack.
booze.
Yeah.
I preferred Captain Jack's, but that's purely because I'm an ale snob.
Right, they
And
had
there's
some
certain-
good beers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they-
Oh yeah,
good
you can
beers.
guarantee that Helen's don't have any beer or
No,
drinks that you
right, yeah.
actually want to drink. It's
You
just
have
alcohol.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
have Tsingtao, which is the local Chinese beer. I think we've talked about it. It's like watery
Yeah.
piss.
Yeah.
And you have Budweiser, which is much better, to be honest. And then you have buckets of whiskey. I think that's like your three options if
Right.
you want anything
Yeah.
of substance.
Well-
I mean, you can get a few things, right?
Yeah, and they have a ladies' night on a Wednesday
Hmm.
where you can go and you pay like 30 kwai, which is £3.
Yeah.
And you get unlimited cocktails. So, but you can get a gin and tonic.
Oh, there you
Only
go.
if you're a girl.
That can still happen, Chris. You haven't seen me in a dress.
Oh god! Oh god! See, every time you go to Helen's, there's always something spectacular. There you go.
Or
Okay,
horrifying.
so we have Helen's, which is pretty sweet. We have Beer Bar, we were talking about off license. There's Vox, so there's some kind of like clubs and pubs around here. So we've kind of got a good selection of places to go. You can go somewhere to like the Hyatt and get something very nice. You can go somewhere like Helen's and get something very cheap and cheerful. Or you can go to Chains
Oh man.
and get assaulted by Chinese people.
Right, we went to Chains, and like I'll try and keep this story brief, but like when our friends came over, the two Michaels, Hodgson and Liner, hello, when they came over to visit us over a year ago now, they were like, we want to go see a Chinese club, and we had never been before, so we went to where we knew Chinese clubs were, and we went in. They are the most bizarre areas. A club to us in the West is what, you know, like a dance floor and a
Right.
bar, right? Maybe
Yeah.
some tables and chairs. No dance floor in Chinese clubs. There are just loads of booths with tables,
Right.
like a round a circular bar in the middle of
Right, okay.
of the like building, and then instead of a dance floor, they have like the DJ booth, and then like a sort of raised podium where people like climb up on to dance.
Safe.
Yeah, right. It's not safe if you're wasted, you know. And when we went to that place, Chains, which was awful, it was a terrible place, but like obviously we had loads of fun. Like there was like a weird sort of Gangnam Style dude singing.
Yeah.
He was
that
rapping as well. I
weird.
think it was really bad.
Yeah, there were also just like people, like they'd obviously gone. You could buy like a bottle of booze, but it was really expensive.
Right.
And then these people had ordered all this food and then had left it. So I was eating the food, and then the barman took it off me because I hadn't paid for anything. But someone had left it.
You just got chips hanging out your mouth. You're like,
Yeah.
why?
I was really hungry. It was really late. He took it off me and gave me a dirty look. So I'm not going back there.
We also went into two other clubs that night, very briefly. We went into a place called Muse, where
Okay.
we were rejected by a man dressed in military gear. Don't know why. I was drunk enough to think he was being a racist. And second, we went into a place called Victoria's, which is like one of the
Another
more
Chinese
famous clubs in
clubs,
Wuhan. And yeah, it was terrible. It was
Right.
really bad. But like, it was one of those nights where like, it was so terrible, it was like really good fun.
When we arrived at this club, people were leaving. It was like 11 o'clock, and people were
Playtime's
going
over.
home.
Right.
Gotta go home to bed.
But
mate.
people back home who, you know, stay out till clubs till like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, yeah, you get there at like 11,
Yeah,
right?
I was like, what's going on? It was really odd because even if you go to like beer barn or whatever, we don't normally go to like 10,
Right.
and people are like, that's what time people normally. It was just very odd.
I mean, I'm not a fan of nightclubs generally.
Right.
But, going to one in China and in Wuhan especially was quite an experience.
There was a club in Shening last year. It was very, very Chinese. 9 times out of 10 we would go in it and we'd be the only people there, which was fine, I guess. But there was one time we went in on Christmas Eve. We go in this place, it's packed to the rafters. Everybody's got heaps of booze on their table. I'm guessing like when you like arrive, they just buy like a keg or whatever, I don't know. And there was this Asian like pimp daddy on stage with like 4 beautiful Asian ladies in very skin tight clothing. Then they take it off. It's just bloody a brown bikini. And I was like, what is going on? And then they started dancing about. They did a countdown to Christmas. Fantastic. The party's just about to get started now. Right? No. Everybody leaves. So at 12 o'clock it is bouncing. 12:02 we again are the only people in that club. And we're like, what the hell happened? It was like a tornado. Absolute tornado.
It was an exodus. Personally, I dislike clubs anyway, but I mean, there are, I don't know whether you'd call it club, but you've got like the jazz club.
Right. Which
is like live music. They get foreign bands into play, and so you pay a bit more, but you're paying for like a pleasant place.
Right, it's a bit more sophisticated.
It's clean, it's good music, you don't have people spewing all over the sink and the walls, and the people are more, I was going to say sophisticated, but that makes me sound like a right snob.
The people are just more sophisticated here. They just understand good culture.
I think it's just an older crowd, though. Like the people who go to Helen's are students.
Right, yeah.
It's like a place, because Helen's has like a different different deal. Well, no, it has a different deal on every night of the week. So they're always trying to attract young people to go. Whereas,
and student unions aren't a thing here in China.
So that's true. Yeah.
I really think that the reason is because in China, drinking culture is about getting drunk. And I okay, back home it sort of is like that too. But also, you get people who like just to go for a quiet beer and, like to socialise. But here you don't socialise. You go, you get drunk, you drink a lot of alcohol, you shout really loud, you spew, and then you go home and pass out. That's like what you do here. But that's what Chinese
all of it happens between 8 and midnight.
Right.
And then that's it. Game over.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've got back from Helen's, or you're leaving Helen's, you've managed to swerve all the spew that has been chucked about. You're somehow still standing after like 5 towers of beer, because you're an absolute hero. What is it like getting home from a night out? And we've got booze food back home, which is like chippies, and sometimes even a wee kebab. What kind of things are offered back here?
Unless you can get the food right outside Helen's, you have to navigate like getting a taxi and stuff like that. Okay. But like maybe we talk about the food first. Like getting food in China after a night out is, you're basically getting the same sort of things that you get back home in terms of like how good they are for you and stuff like that. It's fried goods, But then I guess a lot of the cuisine that we have is
fried goods.
Yeah.
So normally you have fried noodles or fried dumplings or fried rice.
Right.
Or a McDonald's, because they're open 24 hours.
Yay.
There's a couple.
But like I think my favourite thing to get on a night out is like some chow mein or fried noodles. So
fried noodles, the like flavour is like intensified as soon as you get drunk. They're just like, these are so good. And that's like the dream back home as well, isn't it?
Right.
Like you're getting a chip and you're like, chips on the way, bloody chips.
Right.
Want some noodles or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You come out here and then you're like, oh, kind of want some chips.
I can honestly say I've never thought to myself, I really want noodles.
What? When you're come back from a night out?
In my life.
Oh, so delicious.
I don't eat noodles.
I mean, in all honesty, in fairness, I think fried noodles are great at any time of the day if you're not drunk. But obviously when you're inebriated,
it does help.
You want it a bit more. Yeah.
Last year when we were with our friend Aaron, we came back home from a night out, and we got back to the place where the noodle man was always sitting with his little wok and his little gas canister. It was really unsafe.
Yeah.
And he was like packing up all his stuff, and we like asked him if he would make us food, and he unpacked all of his stuff, and I got like my Chinese translation app open and looked up hero, and we found out the word for hero, and we were chatting at him in the street while he cooked his food.
Chatting hero at him.
Yeah, what we're just saying, like how like he was just like had his walk and all that.
Yeah.
The food that we eat is normally just a guy on the side of the road who just happens to have a frying pan. It's very different from like going back to like a chippy shop or whatever.
Right.
Back home, like going to like a registered establishment, it's just a guy with a frying pan. Like he could be anywhere, he could be anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they have their little carts on wheels. They take them around. There's just no health and safety law here.
No.
And you can catch anything from the food. I mean, there's no health standards here. I mean, if it weren't for the fact it's deep fried,
to shit.
You know, they fry every bacteria there could be.
On the podcast before, Dean. Chinese people don't wash their hands.
It is true.
I'm joking.
Obviously, pubs and clubs are a very prominent part of nightlife in China, especially for us, because we are all from the West, and that's not what we normally do back home anyway.
Yeah.
But what other kind of things can we do here if you don't want to get pissed up?
Right. Well, we can go to one of the many night markets that there are in Wuhan and across China. In Wuhan, there are two main ones that we would visit. If you're hungry, we can go to a place called Hubu Xiang or Hubu Alley, and they do lots of like Chinese street foods. I think like when we went, it was really cool, but I do think that the street foods markets are becoming like, or they seem to me like catered towards people not from that city, because even in Beijing when we went to the street food market, you know, people are selling like insects and stuff like that. Like Chinese people don't eat crickets, you know. Like this is not like they're not a fucking
They're not
indigenous
delicacy.
tribe or that's terrible. Like,
You-
please cut that out. You know what I mean? Like they're not, you know, they don't just fry up anything they see on the fucking street. They don't just like pick a rat up by its tail and you know, stick it in a vat of oil. For example, maybe I'll put on the Facebook page a picture of me eating a scorpion when I was in Beijing. But there are legit good street foods that you can have in China, and a lot of the street food is the sort of stuff that we like have after we've been boozed. But like Hubu Xiang is the place to go in Wuhan.
So we all went to Hubushan just before Christmas, and it was the first time that a lot of people had gone. And as you were saying, Tony, it's very touristy. It does cater to people who are not only foreign, but also people who are not in the city. So they have a lot of things from the north in Xi'an. So they had a lot of Muslim food,
right?
Which was great. And it had even some food from Japan. And they also had like things like frogs and you know, crickets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was weird.
Obviously, it's fine and all the food's great, but it's not like authentic street food. It is very like it's tarted up a bit.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I'm not really sure like where you go to get in China to get authentic street foods. You know what I mean? It's
apparently Chengdu is renowned for its snack food.
That's what I was going to say.
That's what someone told me last year.
Yeah. Well, like that's a really great place to visit if you're visiting Wuhan, for example. Like you go there and it would be it's good to just go and sort of be in amongst it, even if you eat anything.
And it's very close to a Helen's, so
right.
Yeah,
so two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
But like, and there's also a market called the Jianghan Road Market, and that's the sort of place you go for, you know, like illicit goods.
That makes it sound like seedy as fuck.
No.
It's not. No,
hey man, you want some drugs and or prostitute?
Marijuana.
I don't think it's that great anymore.
Oh, it's pretty
When
crap.
we first came here, I thought the Jianghan Road Night Market was really great, and then I've been since, and I had an argument with a lady who worked there because she was saying to this Chinese couple, you can charge the foreigners, as in like people like us, and the Japanese people and the Russian people, you can charge them more money. And I just got really offended and I was so angry. And we were leaving and I was saying to Tony, I was like, I'm going to report her to the police for selling fake things. I was so angry.
She has genuine Gucci.
Yeah, she does. She's selling it out of like a van.
Well,
she was such a bitch.
Yeah.
So I was raging. So I haven't been back. But it's okay if you need stuff. We got backpacks last year.
Yeah.
When traveling.
You got
guys
backpacks.
Yeah, we got
some.
some. It's fine. You can get glasses made, like prescription glasses, if you are very skint and you like snap your glasses or whatever.
Right.
All done on the road. You can get literally anything put on your phone there. So they have like guys who are doing like phone covers, and sometimes guys who are even like fixing phones.
Yeah, in China they like give you this really cool thing, like it's a screen protector for your phone that I'm sure would cost you 20 quid in the UK, but they're really good, they're really thick, you can get those put on your phone for like £1.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think like Jianghan Road and the night market in Wuhan is fine, like we said, but if you're going to go somewhere to get that sort of stuff, I think if you listen to one of the previous podcasts, I think we talked about Shanghai and the market there, like that's where you go for that. And actually other countries in Southeast Asia, which we may talk about.
We may talk about it in the next podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Wuhan is still a small city, and you can tell by what the foundations that they've made for their night market is gonna explode when the city becomes a little bit more prosperous.
I do like how there's an unofficial local government policy to create illicit night markets. I do love that about China. You know, as you become a big city, you need an illicit night market.
Of course.
Selling dodgy van-based goods.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, though, if you're in that area at night, you're there at, like, say, 5:30, you're like, where's this night market? It's just a whole load of shops. And then all of a sudden, like, after 6 o'clock comes, all these people, like, come out with their stalls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, like, the street is, like, totally transformed. It's really cool to be there. And it, like, certainly, like, it seemed very, like, odd to me, and the sort of thing that I expected to experience in China when we came here, that this was in the city.
I was actually just thinking in my head while we were talking there, the reason I think it's not great is probably because it caters more to Chinese people. Like, Chinese people just have a different like fashion sense to the way I dress, or they just wear clothes that would never fit me because they're just really petite. And so I think that's why I probably don't like it that much. Whereas the one in Shanghai or the one that we went to in Vietnam, which we'll talk about next week, those are much better because they cater to tourists and you know, give you what we want rather than. I mean, it makes sense that in Wuhan they would sell clothes and things that Wuhanese people want. It's not their fault that it's crap. It's my fault.
Just as a quick thing, I don't know if we mentioned this on the podcast before, but like we said, the place Hubu Alley, Hubuxiang, where you can get the street foods, and when we're talking about getting food after a night out, the reason there is so much stuff like on the streets is most of the restaurants, they stay open really late, and then they put tables and stuff out into the street, and they have like barbecue, like grills, and you know, guys come out with their frying pans and stuff like that. It's weird though, like in our area that we live in Wuhan, that used to be happening, and then all of a sudden it stopped happening. We think it's got something to do with like the seasons, and over winter they don't have it, or they're not allowed to have it. Remember that night we were out, and I think we may have even talked about this on the podcast before, the night we were out in the street eating, and then all of a sudden all these police came and they like pulled us all in and stuff like that. Do you remember that? Yeah. Crazy. Doing stuff at night on the street is like a thing in Asia. Anyone who's been to this part of the world will know that. Especially more so in Vietnam when we were there, but it's still in China. If you want to eat on the street, get your hair cut. I've seen one or two like street haircuts which are quite scary and interesting at the same time. And if you want to buy clothes, that's on the street.
Get your shoes polished. Get that done on the street. Get
your eyes sorted on the street. So there's a couple other pieces that you can do again if you don't want to drink. We just get boozed all the time.
No, we don't. That's not true.
This is going to do great for my CV, this podcast. Future employers listening to it.
Last weekend I only had 5 beers.
Oh, wow. Only 5. There you go.
Me too, and I was drunk.
You guys had a lot more to drink.
Like, there's things like arcades, which are pretty popular around here.
Right.
They're open normally till 10 or 11, depending on which one you go to. And they're normally, like, a bit of fun or whatever. They have all, like, the racing games that we have back at home. They have all the shooting games and all that kind of stuff. Dance mat. They have like DDR.
Chinese people have definitely confirmed the stereotype that Asian people are awesome at the dance mat.
Yeah,
they are so good.
So good at it.
I wanted to play because I used to have one when I was 10, and I tried to convince Dean, and I was like, it'll be really, really fun. And then we stood in Germany, we watched that guy be amazing in dance mat.
I've never seen anything like it. I can imagine that he wouldn't have any coordination any other time in his life. Yeah. But my God, he broke some moves.
Right. He was really good.
Yeah.
So I've never tried it because I'm too ashamed.
Yeah, I'm not the most mobile of them.
Dean just fumbling about this dance mat like, oh, help me!
Rolling around on the floor, occasionally hitting an arrow.
And while Ruth and Dean were trying on the dance mat, Lewis and I were shooting some hoops because they have, those amazing basketball machines.
Shooting 3-pointers, mate. All day, every day.
We have been on a quest to break every high score on every basketball machine in Wuhan.
I think we've done most of them apart from one. There was the one in Jadalco which had a ridiculous high score. But I think sometimes they cheat. They cheat, Tony. They definitely cheat.
Of course
to make suckers like us be like, we can beat it, we can beat it, and we keep putting coins in. But basketball machines are like really popular here as well.
Yeah.
They also in the arcade had this weird game where you could win cigarettes.
Oh,
remember it was like one of those games where you push a button and the thing like sticks to the. It has like...
It's like a sucker or something.
Yeah, like a sucker, and then you attach it to a pack of cigarettes, and then you can win cigarettes in an arcade.
Normally it would be like chocolates or a toy, but not in China. In China, you've got your Marlboro, you've got your Windsor Knot Rose.
You've got hardcore Baijiu at the top, that's like 80% vodka.
It's crazy, and they're all like 20 packs and things. It's like... That's what people want
And
to win.
there was no kind of control to stop kids
Right.
playing it either. It was just next to the
Yeah.
claw machine.
Dean, why don't you get down to the arcade and you can turn your self-inflicted death into a game?
Another popular thing in China, as well as the arcades, they normally go hand in hand. They're always very close to each other.
Right.
Pool halls are rampant here, absolutely rampant.
Plagued with pill halls.
Yeah. So pool is quite a big thing here.
Yeah.
There's one just down beside us that we go to quite a lot. The tables are fine. The price is like £2 an hour or whatever, and you normally get someone to rack everything for you.
The interesting thing about the pool halls in China tends to be the loose stogie. You see the loose cigarettes hanging, almost non-attached to anything, floating in front of their faces.
Of you.
And the ash is like as long as it could, longer than the cigarette, but it never drops onto the table. It's like not only can they shoot pool, they've got the whole loose stogie down to a T.
I think they feel the weirdest thing about going to the pill hall here. Like, I don't really go to pill halls back home. Like, I like it. I play pill. I like playing pill, but I just wouldn't go to like a billiards hall or a pill hall. But here, they're really popular, like you said. And when we go, you sometimes gather quite an audience. Not necessarily because you're any good, because, we're not.
Talk about yourself.
Right. But just because they just want to, I don't know, people in Wuhan especially that aren't very used to seeing foreign face around, they'll just play, wow, foreigners can play pill as well. It's crazy.
Blowing minds everywhere we go. There's one other thing that's quite popular here, obviously, because League of Legends is their number one game. I think it's almost more popular than basketball here, which is saying something. The internet cafes are really, really big here. You can find them almost anywhere.
Yeah.
They cost next to nothing to go into. The only thing is, almost all of them require a Chinese ID card. So foreign people like us, we can't really go in unless we have a Chinese person who is willing to lend us their ID card, which is a big thing to ask. It's like back home, they're like, oh, can I borrow your passport to, get into this shop?
Fake ID.
Yeah. It's to do with them tracking the activity on whatever you do in the internet cafe.
Yeah.
Goes back to your ID number. So people are reluctant to give you that. Not that you're going to be doing anything dodgy or anything like that, but yeah, sure. So obviously that's very popular here.
I just think it's really creepy when you walk by internet cafes and you see everyone at their like computers with their like big headphones on, and like the headphones usually have like lights on them. They're all lit up. Everyone's just like glued to the screen.
Do you know?
I guess that's
when I see them,
nerds,
usual for you,
bunch of nerds.
When I see those, it always reminds me of the film Toys, with the little kids playing the games, and the games are actually toys that blow things up, and they're sitting there in the computers and they're actually controlling real life explosions.
Haven't seen that film. It sounds like it's for nerds, mate. There's one other big thing that we can do in China. The shops here, we were talking about Han Street 2 or 3 episodes ago. The shops here stay open quite late, like the arcades, so maybe 10:30 or 11 you can go out shopping.
Right.
So that's very popular here as well.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, I don't know what time the shops were open till now in the UK. There used to be one night that you could go late night shopping
Thursday night,
on a Thursday, and I would always go with my wee pals after school, go around the shopping centre.
Go down to H&M.
Yeah, I know. Well, not much has changed.
Yeah.
It's still my favourite thing to do. But yeah, it's really convenient here that you can go shopping until super late. Although I'm not really sure why you would want to be at H&M at 11 o'clock at night. I would much rather be asleep.
Well, I guess like the consumerist sort of like, I don't know what the word is, just the way of life here is that, you should be able to buy what you want when you want.
Yeah.
Whereas back home, it's like, can possibly work past 6 o'clock in HMV or whatever. Like here, it doesn't really matter. Like even it's the same goes for like a Sunday, like Sundays back home or
it's like 6 everything. Not even.
Yeah.
No, like I remember when I used to work on a
malls.
Sunday, I'd close at like 5, half 5.
Sunday
like
shopping malls.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So here that doesn't happen, and so shops are open really late.
Yeah, I suppose people work later here.
Right.
Most people don't finish work until, the kids that we teach are still in school, and it's like 10 to 5.
Right.
And they're 6.
Right, that's
so the
true.
parents work until they don't get home until 7 or 8.
Yeah, so they're gonna go pick them up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they can't do their shopping until that time of
Yeah.
night anyway.
Yeah.
okay, so we finished those 2 podcasts on Wuhan, talking about it in the day, talking about it in the night, and I think the time that we've arrived in Wuhan, or like the time period, I guess, I think we're quite lucky because we're seeing Wuhan getting literally dragged out of a swamp and starting to be built up. So it'll be really interesting to see where it is in 10 or 20 years' time when it'll be something similar to Shanghai or to Beijing.
Yeah, Tony and I met a guy the other night when we were having dinner from Botswana and we were just chatting to him. He's been here for 6 months, and that's basically what we were talking about, how much Wuhan's changed in the 18 months that we've been here. It's so different, even just in terms of the infrastructure that's being built, the subway, some of the like overhead expressways, like the motorway and stuff. I can't even imagine what even this area is going to be like in 10 years. Like, we're really lucky to be here now and to see it all and to kind of have the experience that we're having, I guess.
So we are looking forward to seeing what happens to Wuhan in the next couple of months, let alone in the next 10 years.
And like, if you are thinking about coming to China, and I know that that's not a thing that a lot of people do, like, Wuhan's not a place that people go when they're tourists, but like, go out of your way and try and like seek out places like Wuhan that are like kind of off the beaten track in terms of the tourist trail, and try and experience like what China is really like at the moment,
right, yeah.
Rather than going straight for like the Western influenced Shanghai.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Wuhan's really good in terms of its location for travelling about China. In terms of its nightlife, it's got so much to do, like we just talked about, whether it's shopping or drinking or shooting hoops or playing pool or whatever else, or listening to jazz. I mean, there's something going on all the time.
Right.
It's never a dull moment, or you can have a quiet night if you want.
Yeah.
But Wuhan's a really, really good city to base yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's us for this week, guys. A little bit of a shorter one. I think what we're going to try and do is try and keep them shorter, but a lot more frequent, so that you guys have more content and we have less stress. So next week we are actually going to talk about our holidays. So we managed to get a month off for the Spring Festival. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to have a talk about the other holidays that we get in China. Okay, so that's us finished for this week. You can find us on a few social medias. So Tony, where can they get us?
If you're on Facebook, search for Wuhan Weekly in the search bar and give us a like.
Or you can find us on Twitter at Wuhan Weekly Pod.
You can also follow us on Instagram, where I will be more prolific at posting pictures of Wuhan this week. The account is the same as the Twitter, which is at Wuhan Weekly Pod.
You can also email us questions at wuhanweeklypod@gmail.com. Now, we had a big hiatus, but we will be on top of this. I'll be checking every day. So if you have any questions about Wuhan, please drop us an email.
Or if you just want to say hi, that would be nice too. And if you want to leave us a review on iTunes, that would be much appreciated. We would always like some more listeners. So if you give us a good review, maybe more people will tune in.
Yeah, that stuff really does help. But, yep, that's us. Thank you very much, guys. See you next time.